G'day, my name's Chris and I'm one of the Deputy Captains at the Rainbow Flat Rural Fire Brigade. Today we'll be running through a few things that you can do around your property to get ready for the upcoming fire season. Let's start at the front of your property. Our trucks can be pretty big these days, so to ensure that we can fit, you need to make sure that your gate's wide enough and that any trees that may be close to your driveway have been trimmed. We need a minimum of 3.5 metres wide by 4.1 metres tall for our biggest truck to be able to fit onto your property. The other thing that you need to consider is that we can find your property. You need to have nice visible street numbers, and the other thing that you might like to consider is contacting us for a static water supply, or this SWS sign that you can see here. This lets us know that you might have a swimming pool, a dam or a water tank that we can gain water from to use while defending your property. Now is a great time to make sure that all your gutters are nice and clean of any leaves and debris, and also any hedges and shrubs close to the house are nice and pruned. In the lead up to the fire season, make sure that you keep the grass nice and short and pick up any leaves and sticks that may be around. These can either be composted on site, taken to the tip as green waste, or depending on the burning restrictions at the time, they could be burned. Another area around the house that needs to be thought about is for raised houses is underneath. It's a great access point for embers, and so an easy way to stop that ember attack is by placing some metal fly screen, closing up the gaps. What we've done is have some removable frames so that we can still gain access to underneath the house, but it stops that ember attack. Now I'm just going to give you a rundown of some of the things that we learnt after the Hillville fire. I've been a firefighter for 22 years, and it's the first time that I've actually had to defend property without the aid of a fire truck. So it's been a good learning experience for me as well, and so I thought I might pass on some of the things that we've changed since the fire. One of the things that we realised when the fire hit us was that our firefighting pump didn't have a long enough hose to reach all the structures on the property. The structure behind us is just a little tractor shed, and it's a wooden pole shed, and we noticed that after the fire had passed through that one of the posts was smoking. None of our hoses reached it. Luckily we had plenty of buckets that we could put the post out with, but that's one of the other things that we've upgraded. We now have longer hoses and more of them. One of the improvements that we made to our property after the fire hit was that we installed some more rainwater tanks on the property. So now that we installed 2 new tanks, giving us an extra 46,000 litres of rainwater, and we've actually connected those right through the property using 1.5 inch poly pipe that's been buried. So we've now got a lot more access to water in a lot of different spots. That is currently just running off an electrical pump, but I do have the ability to run that pump with a generator if needs be. Another thing that we found useful during the Hillville fire was these barrels and eskies and our garbage bins. We filled them all up with water before the fire impacted us, and that way we were able to scoop out buckets of water really quickly. We didn't have to wait for them to fill at the tap. We actually put out 2 spot fires that had started up in garden beds and where we didn't have hoses at the time, so it was much quicker just to scoop out with a bucket of water, run to the spot fire and put them out, rather than to try and get a hose across there. Another thing that we did as the fire approached was to make sure all the windows were closed and the air conditioner was off. We've got vaulted ceilings in here, but if we didn't, I would have placed a bucket of water below the manhole cover, just in case any embers did get into the roof cavity. You've got water there, nice and easy to put out any fires that do start. Another thing that we decided to do after the fires was put together a bit of a firefighting trailer. We're on 30 acres here, so if the fire's not near the house, it's a good way to be able to get water to the fire. This unit consists of a 1,000 litre IBC tank, a firefighting pump and a hose, so we can tow that around nice and quickly to any part of the property to put out any spot fires that might start. These were just some quick ideas and tips to get your property ready for the upcoming fire season. If you have any questions or need some further information, you can head over to the New South Wales Rural Fire Service website, or you can send through a message to our Rainbow Flat Rural Fire Service Facebook page.